Hi everyone, this is Elaine coming to you doing my very first tutorial. If you've watched any of my other vids, you'll notice that lately I've been doing sculpture work. And I had mentioned that I make my own doll or figure eyes for the women, figures that I'll be making. Simply because buying them is just way too expensive. So this is how I do it, and I hope it's helpful to you. And but this is just my way of doing it. Okay, so here's the materials you're going to need. You're going to need some white polymer clay. I'm actually using Primo Sculpey right now to do this, and I find that works really well. And so you'll need that, and you'll need some scribbles like I have, which I've shown you in depth before. And it could just be any old 3D fabric paint. I think would work just fine. I'm also using some washable Elmer's school glue, little glue stick left over from my kids' stuff, to hold down the little eyes while I'm decorating, etc. So you'll need those things. You're going to need a round tool of some kind. You know how these are in the nail world, these are dotting tools, and they have different size little bulbs on the end. This is the one I used most to make the indentation in the clay to fill it up for the eye. This is the one. This is really big. But when I make very large eyes, I use this. This is just simply, it's just the end of it's just a brush, a paintbrush. It's just the tip. But it's nice and wide, and I really like that for when I'm making the bigger ones. So you need some sort of round tool like this, and you'll need some sort of magic gloss like I'm using from Lisa Pavelka. If you want to do these, my way, you're going to need this stuff. And then I've also purchased her lamp, so you need a lamp there, and it's a 9-watt. And I'll show you how to do that, of course. And also you'll need an oven. Whether a regular household oven to bake your clay in, or a polymer clay oven made specifically for it. That's what I have. I use the Ameko one, and it suits me pretty well. So let's just go ahead and get started. I will say right off the bat that I'm not trying to create an actual replica of the human eye, and there are tutorials out there for you to do that. I'm creating what I call fantasy eyes. So I won't be drawing in or painting in the pupil, in other words. It'll just be the iris I'm filling in. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is my white polymer clay that I have gone ahead and made into a long snake, just simply by pressing on it. Very simple, right? It starts off like this, kind of fat. But by the time I'm done, I want it to be this thin. So I will just, roll it this thin as possible, while still having some strength left in it. And I've been sick for like the last 3 days, and I left my clay out. So you're going to see like dirt and stuff in here, and I would still use this because you don't actually see the whites of the eye when you're putting them into the doll's face. At least I don't. I like to envelop them with the clay. But we bring it down to this size, and then I'm using an X-Acto knife, and I've got some wax paper right here. So as big as your eye, as big as you want the eyes to be, I'll show you how that has to be cut. Let's bring this over a little bit. If I cut it here real thinly, I'm going to have a really small eye, like that one. Okay? If I cut it much larger, there, you get off of there, I'm going to have an eye that looks like this. Much bigger. So it just depends on what you want. So what I do is I simply go in and slice according to what I want. I try to do it in pairs. It's not exact science for me, and my eyes are not always exactly even, but I try really hard to make them that way. Anyways, we'll just start with these. After after you've cut the ones you want, you get out your little wax paper that you're going to put into your oven. So the X-Acto knife work, and you simply take a ball and roll a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just a little round white ball. Place it on your wax paper. Again, roll your next one. And we're only doing a few here, so you can see. Okay. And the big ones, and I did notice that this one was a little bigger than the other. Easily corrected. There. I mean, this can get a little time consuming if you're doing a ton of eyes at once, which I usually do. Oh, for goodness sake. Just there. And this other big one. So obviously you're cutting them in pairs. Let me see. Okay. Now you'll notice that they're not perfect looking, right? Sort of eggy looking, and that's totally fine. You can roll them ever so carefully into a completely round ball if you want to, but I don't think that's necessary. So after I've got them placed right there on the wax paper and they're all ready, I'm just going to go in right on top of it, try to get into the center of it, and this is not actually easy to keep it in the center. I'm just going to roll it a little bit, pull it off, and let it be. Same thing for this one. Hope you can see that I'm just rolling the top of my ball. Just trying to get it in the middle there. Then you just pull it off nice and gently. Lord willing. There. And then, see how I made the much bigger ones? I'm going to want a bigger tool. Now you can have as deep a reservoir or as deep an indentation as you want to fill up with the scribbles. So for those ones, again, I'm going to go right on the top. Just going to try to grind it gently in. See? I'm not perfect, so anything I make is not going to be perfect, even though I do strive for perfection. Any of my eyes, they're not perfect. So, and then I just get it off of there. Try to even them out, as best as I can. Yeah. And then these ones are going to go into the oven. This is Primo Scopi. It's supposed to go in for 275 for 30 minutes per quarter square inch. But these are so tiny. All my eyeballs are so tiny. I put these in at 275 for 10 minutes and no more. It just doesn't work if it's over 10 minutes. It scorches them. And 10 minutes is perfect. Okay, so that was the process of rolling them, cutting them, and getting them like this. You're going to put it in your oven at 275 or whatever temperature you're supposed to for whatever clay you're using. And I recommend no more than 10 minutes at a time. So moving on, you can see that these ones, all these are already baked. And you have to wait for them to be completely cooled down before you do anything. So then I'm going to determine which color eyes I want. Meaning, of course, which color scribbles am I going to use? I actually prefer the ones with the glitter from these scribbles. And they're just, it says right on there, glittering. And I love these ones the best. They seem to catch the light the best. So, I'm sorry my light isn't going so well right now. Let me see if I can do anything about that. There, that's better, I think. Yeah. Okay. So these are the ones that I prefer, the little scribbles. And I like the glittering ones. So all I'm going to do is gently press, sort of like filling a donut. I'm just going to gently press a little bit in each of these eyes right here. You can see that okay? Now gravity sometimes will pull these down, and I will have to keep filling them until they've reached the height I want them to be. Okay? After they are dried, and I've got some that are dry right here to show you. Also, I will say that sometimes when you get these out of the oven, they will slide right off of your wax paper, and it's imperative that your things are glued down or taped down to work with them. You just can't really hold them in your fingers and get the same results. They flip, they spill, you know, it's a pain. So I filled these up as much as I wanted to. We've got some blue and some brown. And now I'm going to come along, and it's time for Lise Pavelka's Magic Gloss, which is awesome, as I've said a gazillion times. Now all you have to do for this is, it'll take some practice to get used to how much to squeeze out, but all you do is I push a little bit until I see some coming out. Then I go right over the nice dried eye, I squeeze, and then I lift off, and it creates a dome. If you put more product on this and you pull away, it creates an even bigger dome. So I will continue to do that for these right here. They're little. They don't need a huge dome. Just like that. Maybe a little bit bigger. See how they all have that right now? Because when these dry and they dry flat, they don't look like an eyeball to me. But these are really beautiful with that dimensional gloss. So, but this isn't enough, of course. You have to cure it. And the only way to cure it is in a UV lamp. And I just got hers off her website. I thought, why not, you know, have it really consistent using her gloss and her lamp. And it works really, really well. So after you filled these up, whoops. After you filled them up, or you can put them right into the lamp, into her lamp right there, 45 minutes. I just find that it's much better cured that way. And I mean, you could, if they were tiny, you might want to try 15 minutes, but for me, I do 45 minutes. And this is the end result. Different colors to show you. These are completely cured. And as you can see, this would be a fantasy eye. People's eyes are not that kind of a pink, or this pink, or this teal, or this purple, or this blue. But these are the ones that I've made. And so I hope you can see the dimension from using the gloss. I hope you can see that. It's amazing. And that is all you have to do. You have now made your own eyes. It's very, very simple. And when you've got your clay little face in front of you, you put these where they're supposed to be, you know, obviously measure it out and just push gently in. They go in, and they make really beautiful eyes. So I'm really thankful to have found this. It's lots of fun, and you can do a whole bunch at a time. And I really hope that this tutorial was helpful, and maybe you could make your own eyes. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, you know, please feel free to leave me those. I certainly don't mind. And but thank you so much for watching my tutorial, and thanks for stopping by.